So, good morning, good morning, good morning. Listen, today I just want to encourage you guys that are married to not allow your marriage to get stale, meaning don't allow life to cause you guys to become roommates. Like it can easily happen. I'm sure at different points in our marriage, it has certainly felt that way. Because here's what I understand. I understand that the thing about marriage is always transitioning. There's always a change. And there's an old saying that like women marry their man hoping they'll change, but men marry their women hoping they will never change. And we know that change is inevitable. That like it has to happen. There is nothing in life that continues to move, grow, produce, does not change. And so we want change. We want to welcome change, but we want to be intentional about how we're allowing it to happen. I don't want you to go, like if you're in that phase of marriage with children where they're pretty young and they get all your attention, I don't want you to go so many years where you're so focused on the kids that you forget each other. Now, I have to admit that one of the things in our marriage that helped us from doing that was, well, honestly, the only thing was Andre. Like, Andre was so intentional about making sure that our marriage didn't become about our children. Like he said, we were married, we were people before these little people came into this world. Our job is to bring them into our world, not to make them our world. And I used to be resistant towards that. But he was right because, he would jokingly always say, keep on wanting to do everything with the kids and not me, and they're going to leave you. And he was right, which is what we want as parents. We want the children to grow up and move out and be productive citizens of the world. But we don't want them to move out and then we're at home with a stranger. We're looking at each other like, what do we do now? Ooh, like who's this person in the house with me? So I want you to be intentional about keeping the relationship going. And then if you're in that transition of being an empty nester where you have done the work, you've done an amazing job, and now your children are out being productive citizens, and now it's just you and hubby or you and wifey, and you're looking at each other like, what do we do now? Today, I just want to give you just 5 little ideas on some things you can do to reignite the passion, to get back excited about each other, and make life about you guys again and not about these children. There's this saying people are now saying, F these kids. And I think it's one of the funniest things. But there are times when we just need to make sure that we're giving attention and time to our spouse and not just our children or life. And because life will keep you busy. You got work, bills. Some of us are in that phase they call the sandwich, where you have children to take care of and parents to take care of. What about the marriage? So find some time, make time, be intentional about giving time to one another. And so here are just 5 things. We all hear about date night, right? And I strongly encourage, get committed to having a specific day and time for date night, date day, date afternoon, but make time for each other. But this is something I heard recently by, I think it was Jay Shetty. And I thought this was so powerful. And Andre and I was like, we got to try this. He encouraged that when you do date night, pick a time that you do something that neither one of you have ever done before. And he talked about the vulnerability of that. Because, like, if I go with Andre to watch football, he loves football, and I'm not interested in football, eventually I'm going to probably end up on my phone or talking to other people in the room. And that's not developing connection. If I encourage him to come with me to an art class, which he's done before, I enjoy painting, but he doesn't. It made him uncomfortable. So that can cause just like a little divide just in the discomfort of it all, right? But what if you're both uncomfortable and you got to talk your way through it and you have to figure out this new thing that you've never done, the excitement, the adrenaline that comes with that, and the vulnerability. So I encourage you to try something new, be intentional, pick something that you've never done, and then go do that on your next date night. The second thing is, when is the last time you've written a love letter to one another? And it doesn't have to be that deep, right? Because if you're like me, who hardly ever writes anymore, because sadly I've gotten addicted to Chat GPT, sometimes it can be hard to make my thoughts flow the way I want them to. But it doesn't have to be a formal letter to your spouse. Here's the easy way out. Write down 10 things you love and appreciate about them. Really give it some thought, because how often are we moving so fast that we don't realize the last time we told our spouse, I appreciate you. Like, one thing I love, and appreciate about Andre that is so small is when he gets up and make up the bed. Like, I remember one of the first times he did that where I had gone out to the bathroom, had a shower, and came out and the bed was made. And I just kept going over and over, you made the bed, you made the bed. And so even now to this day, when he does that, I'm just so grateful. Just a little thing. So put that in a little note and let them know that you do see them, that you do appreciate them. The third thing I encourage you to do is do a pamper day. Do massages, like massage one another or go get massages. Um, do something that maybe you've never done before. We have this really cool screen and back porch. And so one evening, when Dre got home from work, I had have one of these little tubs that you can put water in and put candles out there. And he came home and he got to have a foot bath. I got to wash his feet and massage his feet out on the porch. He had like a drink beside him. It was just like it was a surprise to him. And he give me foot rubs all the time and back rubs all the time. But like that was a cool little surprise. So just to take it outside, do it differently. Just to add a little spice and a little laughter to your marriage. And then speaking of laughter, that is the fourth thing I encourage you to do. Find a way to laugh together. Um, Watch a comedy show. Like one of my favorite comedians is Ali Sadiq. Like I love this dude. If you have not watched his comedy special Side Effect, no, is it called Side Effects? Something Effects. Check him out. Just Google Ali Sadiq. If you want to laugh, watch that show, but watch it with your spouse. Laugh together. Like laughter builds these endorphins that make us feel closer, make us feel connected. Another thing Andre and I do is when we're in the car together, instead of just listening to the radio, many times we'll play a comedy show on YouTube or we'll listen to a book together. But this time I'm encouraging you to laugh. But when you do those things together, even in the car, particularly like if you're audio listening to a book, then you got something new to discuss. Like, what did you think of that idea? Those kind of things. But the goal is that you stay connected to one another and don't allow all of this life to draw you apart. And if you have gotten to that place where you feel like you're not quite connected, where it could feel like love is gone, but you're just moving in space together and you really still care for one another, but something feels off. And maybe you're thinking, I don't know how to make this happen again. I don't even know how to talk to my spouse. Caneisha, there's so much distance between us that nothing feels like it's ever going to change. I want to encourage you. The fifth thing I want to encourage you to do, take a class together. Take a class together. You may be thinking, well, maybe my spouse doesn't want to take the class. Invite them. Invite them to take the class. And the class I encourage you to take is my class, Think Your Way to a Better Marriage. And here's why I think it's so important to take this class. We're rolling up on the last 6 weeks, the last week of the 6-week course with the current group I have. We started with 10 couples. Now, mind you, these couples, when we started this class, when I asked, what is the biggest challenge you're facing? Every single one of them said communication. Communication. I have a hard time talking to my spouse. I don't know how to say the hard things to my spouse. Um, I feel like they hear me, but they don't hear me. I just feel like we're not connected. It just seems off, right? That was the big thing because I always like to ask before I start a class, what is the thing you need most? And this is what everyone said they need most. Within 2 weeks, by the third session, so they had 2 weeks before. So what we do is we go live, we come into the classroom, we talk, we share, and then I teach a concept, a skill, or strategy. They go home, they get homework, they go home, they practice this. The next week we check in. How did it go? So now these couples, 5 weeks in, because this past Sunday we did class, so excited. Like there was one couple who, at the beginning, that came to the first class, sent me an email and said, our marriage is in trouble. Like, we don't even know if we're going to continue with this marriage. I don't think this class is for us. And I emailed back and said, listen, been there, done that, thought my marriage was over. The tools and strategies we're going to teach in class. Andre teaches the class with me. So Tell your husbands, if you're the wife who's watching and you're thinking he's not going to come, he's not going to be the only man in the room. My husband will be there too. Andre helps the men like make connections. It's really a cool class. And they came back. Like I sent the email and I said, listen, these are the tools and strategies Andre and I learned when we went through the toughest time of our marriage. Please come, please consider. They came back to the class last week. They shared their testimony of how happy they are. This couple is in their 60s. So this is not just a new couple thing. This is not a new marriage thing. These are couples who've been married for like, 5, 10, 15 years, some of them more than that. So I'm just encouraging you, if you need to reignite the passion in your marriage, consider the 4 other things I talked about, but especially the 5th thing. Take the class so you can learn to communicate at a different level, so you can really understand what's going on with each other, and so that you can recognize that oftentimes the problem that you think is a problem in your marriage is not the problem. And so in the class, we teach you the deepest part of the problem or the issue so that you can stop attacking one another and attack the issue. I just want to see you like thrive. I go to Word Church and our slogan at the church is everyone thriving. I want to see your marriages thrive. I want you to laugh together, enjoy date night, have fun together, make it easy to leave these notes and appreciate each other. You can do it. And if you're a single watching this and you're thinking, well, this isn't for me. If you want to be married, I encourage you. Didn't have to be this class, didn't have to be my book. But I always say this: before I became a graphic designer, I had to go to school first. Before I became a life coach, I had to go to school first. Before Andre became a teacher, he had to get a degree. Wife and husband are titles. They have job descriptions. There's work to be done. So I encourage you, go to school first. So do what you need to do to be really connected and enjoy marriage and life together instead of moving through life separate. I pray that you have an amazing day. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to like, share, and comment on these videos. Let me know if you're finding them helpful. And if there's any questions that you have, feel free to inbox me, email me, or leave a message right here on the video. Have an amazing day. Be good to yourself and to others. And remember, it is only a thought that's creating those decisions, your decision that's creating your destiny. So if you don't like the decision, the destiny that you have, choose another thought. Have a blessed one. Bye-bye.